YouTube, Quinn Wade basketball coming with y'all with that basketball analysis on analysisplayground.com. We're gonna talk about Kris Dunn getting traded from Utah to the Clippers, and they also gonna sign a 3-year, $17 million deal with the Clippers as this trade goes through. They saying that Russell Westbrook will be bought out by the Utah Jazz, and he's supposed to be trying to get in on Denver. Denver has one more slot open for a player to finish their roster, and they want to be able to get Russell Westbrook that spot. And this is just an easy fix for both teams. Obviously, the Clippers trying to go for that Caruso, Mikal Bridges like thing when it comes to this trade. We just need a defender. We just need somebody that's going to play hard, that's going to compete, that's going to be able to be quick and fast and athletic at that guard position. And I feel like Kris Dunn can do that. Obviously, he's been in the league for a long time. He was drafted, in a lottery for his ability to be a great athlete and a guy with good length and good size for that point guard slash shooting guard position because of the switches that the NBA usually have as guards try to score. And I feel like Kris Dunn, will he be a starter? That's going to be questionable just because he hasn't really been able to score that well in the NBA. Not a great three-point shooter, not a great mid-range shooter, not the greatest finisher because he has to break the defense down to be able to get to the rim. He hasn't really been able to do that too much in the NBA, and that was the biggest downfall of his career. I did a breakdown on Kris Dunn. I was high on him in college just because of his attitude and the way that he liked to play the game. But if he's not going to add any perimeter play to his game, it's going to always be we'll just sit back and allow you to take a mid-range or a three because we rather you do that than get to the paint. But he also isn't the greatest passer or decision maker when it comes to setting up teammates. Now, it's a lot easier when they don't really require you to do too much passing or too much setup, but that was the purpose of them going for John Wall, a guy that's long and tall for the guard position, that's speed and quick, and is a great pass-first player. That didn't really work out that way. Then they went with Russell Westbrook, a guy that's strong and fast and powerful, a guy that can get assists and rebound the ball. He didn't really pan out, especially in the playoffs for the Clippers. He was terrible in the playoffs, and he did average double figures during the regular season, but that wasn't great efficient basketball. Turnovers, couldn't really make a shot, couldn't really defend at a high level the way that you would need him to. And it's kind of crazy seeing a guy have that speed, that quickness, and that body to really be not delivering on a lot of those feats because he's still above average athlete, for his position, and that's Russell Westbrook. So I can see why Denver will be intrigued to try to take that gamble. Like, we ain't got nothing to lose. It's just one roster spot. It's just one veteran minimum contract that if it doesn't work out or he doesn't get along with the team, we can always just waive him again during the buyout season and just go in a different direction when that opportunity happens. So the Denver won't be stuck. They're not going to gamble. They're not going to be doing something that's hard to get out of. Obviously, Westbrook didn't play well even with the Lakers, and that really damaged his stint a little bit more in the league. And people remember those Washington days where he was still getting the points and the rebound and the assists, and he looked like a guy that really helped them make the playoffs. And then when he got to the playoffs, he was getting popcorn thrown at him in the game. So I don't really know what to think about this trade. It's not really a bad thing for the Clippers to get somebody young and enthused to prove themselves, to show that they got a lot. I think he can learn some things like DeJounte Murray did in San Antonio from Kawhi Leonard, how to be a better defender, how to be a better scorer. I mean, he's going to be here possibly for 3 years. But I also would say, like, this contract isn't something that's bad. $17 million is really nothing in the NBA. It's some rookies that make what he's going to be making double, and they not even lottery picks. So, he made his biggest checks being a lottery pick, and now it's just time to figure out what is you going to be, what is you going to try to do to be a better player in this league. And I think the Clippers are just a good opportunity. I feel like Utah was a good opportunity too for Kris Dunn to get his head on straight and to figure out his play style and how he's going to belong and be remembered in the NBA. But using that length and that size and the ability to stay in front of guys is essential to being a great defender. So he got everything that he needs to be that defender and that player. But if you're going to be the next Alex Caruso, nobody really looks at that as a bad thing. But is his defense on Alex Caruso level? No, but he is younger and he can do more things laterally, more things based off athleticism that most people can't do. But offensively, that's going to be the problem with a Kris Dunn. That's why I reference him to that Westbrook trade where he can be very erratic offensively and he can also not really contribute at all. And I seen some footage like when I was watching some games of Kris Dunn. I watched his college footage and NBA footage. He can kind of disappear a little bit offensively where he's not trying to get the ball or he's not trying to be aggressive or he's not really looking for a shot. And I feel like that was something that I really didn't like when he got to the NBA. It seems like he got really humbled and he really lost his aggression to being a guy that can be attacking the paint. Especially, I think, after those injuries to his shoulders. I think that maybe changed the way he thought or changed the way he wanted to play or just changed his whole perspective of the game in general. And I think that that wasn't for the better. Usually you do get worse after injuries. Usually it does have some type of something in the back of your head when you're playing because you don't want to get re-injured or you don't want to re-aggravate it. But Kris Dunn hasn't really been a healthy player even in the NBA, and that's unfortunate because the guy has so much talent and he has so much things that we look at and say this guy should be special or we want to have this guy for this reason. He's a guy that you can talk yourself into liking, you can talk yourself into wanting to be drawn into it. And I feel like the Clippers ended up doing it. They gave him the money, they gave him the years, and said, we want this guy. This is the guy that we need. When you do some type of trade like this, it's just like the Paul George trade. This is the guy for us, and we know for sure, and we're going to live with that decision because that's why we back it up with the sign and trade. Bring this guy to us, and we can get the best out of him. And Denver feel the same way. Like Westbrook, if he's used this way or he's used this way, especially as a cutter, I can see him being great with Jokic, but if he can't make that mid range or he can't make that three, I don't really see him being great besides drawing fouls. But then again, you're not really going to give him that many minutes and that many opportunities because you are a stacked team with young talent and guys that usually want the ball and demand the ball. And I don't really think, based off their summer league roster, that they're going to be crazy over giving him 20 plus minutes. Westbrook might get 10 to 15 minutes, and that'll just be him, running some offense and getting people into their sets and just staying out the way will just be more better for a guy like Westbrook just because Jokic most likely going to be on the court. And if he's not, he can play with Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and put some shooting with Christian Braun on the court. And maybe he can be the penetrator and the guy that can help Jamal Murray play off the ball just a little bit more because he still has the ability to get to the rim. He still has the ability to create penetration and probe a lot. So I can see where people can talk themselves into still liking Russ because those things he definitely can do, and he showed that even with the Clippers. And if he's not going to score or turn the ball over, he's going to be impacting the game that way, and that's the only way he knows how to play anyway. And that got him to be a top 75 player and one of the greatest players ever. And he is a guy that's always a triple-double threat. So if somebody gets injured or goes down for a long period of time, at least you got a guy that can still do some things contribution-wise within those minutes. And even though you got to take some negative with it, he can always outweigh it sometimes by playing hard and, making things come to him or just stepping up in those moments and creating opportunities. That's something that Westbrook is known for. Like, he might not be the greatest closer, he might not be the greatest decision maker, but you don't really need him to be that when you got a guy like Jokic and Murray who already have so much control of how the offense operates that they can put him in this place and say, we just need you to do a little bit of this and stay in this pocket, stay in this lane, and then we don't have to really worry about all those problems occurring because we know how this offense should be run. But I don't look at Westbrook as this huge upgrade type of player for Denver. I just look at him as a guy that can settle in and just play a role in a Pacific type of game that he always played just in smaller spurts, and that should be able to work out for a team like Denver. But it's not official that he signed with Denver. He still has to be waived just for them to get that opportunity to sign him. And like I said, even if Denver goes this direction, they can always get out of it early, even this season. And if that happens, it's just something that he's been going through. But that's what usually happens when you sign these cheap deals, even a guy like Kris Dunn. If it doesn't work out with the Clippers, it's not like they're stuck to Kris Dunn. They can always say, we can give our roster spot to somebody else and just continue to move on. His money will be on the books, but they can always swamp him for another player, even if it's not a trade target. So, it happens. Um, and, that's how it's going to be. But I think that the last thing I have to mention is they also added a second round pick, the Clippers, and some cash for this deal to go through, showing you how much of a rush they was trying to get rid of Russell Westbrook for all he was worth. And, you put a second round pick on there and some cash, and now you have the player that, is going to give you a similar type of problem, but at least he gives you more defensive upside than Westbrook. All I can say is, Kris Dunn, I'm still rooting for you. You got to get healthy. You got to stay healthy as long as you can, and just be a little bit more aggressive and just work on your mid-range and your three-point shot and your ability to penetrate and probe this summer, and you should be where you should have been years ago. Like I said, I still got the breakdown if you want to know what I really thought about Kris Dunn back when he got drafted, back when he played in Summer League. He's worked on some of those things, and he became a starter in Minnesota. Kind of been going back, to the hospital a lot after that with injuries, and it's just unfortunate to see, his career turn out this way when he has so much potential to be great. But it happens all the time, and it's just how the sport is. So it's part of the ugly part of the game besides business. And this is what we see in the ugly part of this game too. People getting in their feelings because how people thinking, how the contracts are, and how, teammates feel about them. And then they got to hop on to another team that can do the same to them again. And it's just part of the business and part of the game too. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I got 2,000 plus classics, so if you have a little bit of free time, go back and watch my older classics on YouTube, and hope you guys enjoy them, and like you enjoyed this one, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going.